Good afternoon, everyone. So today we are going to study the topic measurement of our potentiometer. Now we had in last lecture we had discussed about the measurement of three-phase power. In the three-phase power, we had discussed till the point. We have discussed two wattmeter method, one wattmeter method, Blondel's theorem, drawbacks of each one of them, and how the three-phase power in both delta as well as in star connected system. So along with the power factor calculation by the two wattmeter methods. This was done in the previous class. So today's class we are going to study your measurement of potentiometer. Now before studying the measurement of potentiometer, we need to know what is a potentiometer. The potentiometer is an instrument which is used to measure an unknown EMF which is compared with the now we are measuring an unknown EMF with the help of we are measuring an unknown EMF with the help of a known EMF. How are we doing this? The basic simplest method is when the EMF of both unknown and known EMFs are equal. That means the galvanometer shows zero deflection. So if we have to suppose the galvanometer showing zero deflection, that means the unknown EMF is equal to a known EMF. If the deflection is not zero, then according to the difference, we can calculate the value of your unknown EMF. But this is not a practical method of calculating. This is not a practical method of knowing the unknown EMF. The more practical method is this method. In this method, what we are doing is, in this method, what we are doing is, just a minute. In this method, what we are doing is we are connecting a rheostat in series with the standard EMF, and alongside that, we are putting this unknown EMF, this combination, this galvanometer and unknown EMF, galvanometer and unknown EMF combination in parallel with your resistance. So there is a sliding contact at both the ends, this end and this end, and the known EMF is connected with your rheostat. So what you are doing is you are connecting this rheostat, you are sliding this rheostat throughout this ridge from minimum to maximum, right? For on the basis of this, whatever current that is flowing in your through your this part of your circuit, through your this part of the circuit, that current can be controlled by controlling your rheostat resistance. So once you are controlling the rheostat resistance, you can move the sliding contact and evaluate the value of the unknown EMF by the null condition or the balancing condition. Now, in case of your the potentiometer methods can be used for evaluating the unknown EMFs because they are capable of high degree of accuracy. High degree of accuracy because the accuracy basically depends upon the length of this sliding wire. This length of the sliding wire basically depends upon this that we can. That's why we can say that its accuracy is pretty high. Also, we can say that this accuracy is low because if we are not calculating the length of the sliding wire, that means if we are not calculating the length of the sliding wire accurately, that means more precisely, that means we can say that the system is or the device is not highly accurate, not highly accurate. Okay, then no power is consumed in such circuits because basic EMF, standard EMFs are there, and standard EMF is having a very low voltage of 1.0186 volts. So very low power consumption, n- near to zero, near to negligible. Can also be used to measure the unknown current by measuring the voltage drop across the standard resistance due to the unknown current. So if we are calculating the the current across this unknown volt across this resistance, then we can, if we know the value of unknown EMF, if we know the value of unknown EMF divided by this resistance, you will get the value of your unknown current. Now your potentiometer can be of two types. It can be of two types. First is your DC potentiometer and the second is your AC potentiometer. So in today's lecture, we are going to study about the DC potentiometer. Now DC potentiometer could be of two types. First one is your slide wire DC potentiometer and the second one is your Crompton's DC potentiometer. Now in slide wire DC potentiometer, as I had already discussed about the slide wire, that there is a slide wire and there is a slide contact. Now if you can see the point B, A and B, point AB is a slide wire which is made up of manganese and your sliding contact is presently kept at placed at the point C. So early on, firstly, primarily what we are going to do is What we are going to do is we are going to keep the K sliding contact K open. That means the current is going to flow from the battery B2, working battery B2 to your sliding wire. Okay. What is that amount of current? That value of current is I. Now that current is going to flow in your AC, that is the sliding wire, A, B or AC. Now once after evaluating this, we are going to place this K connected to the C. Now once when we are connecting this to the C, your B1 starts acting, this B1 starts acting. Okay, by closing the contact key, adjust the sliding contact such that there is no deflection shown in the galvanometer. When will no deflection be shown? The non deflection would be shown when this voltage and this voltage would be zero, would be equal. And we can calculate that deflection shown is zero. So whenever your B1 is the current flowing through the current that was flowing across this starts flowing into this circuit, as a means of which some current would be flowing across this resistive manganese slide wire. So B1 EMF across your B1 battery, unknown EMF would become your I into R into L. L is nothing but the length of your slide wire here, AC, into resistance of your slide wire. So E is equals to I current flowing across this into R into L. I've already told you this. So suppose in the even condition, your current was I into R into L. Current I would be flowing in both the conditions because it is same. The acting source of your current is B2. That's why the current is not going to change. So your E1 is equals to I into R because the sliding wire resistance would also remain the same. Same material is used. Therefore, I and R would remain same and L1 and L2 would vary. Because of the change in the length L1 and L2, your EMF is going to vary. So when you find out the ratio E1 upon E2 is equals to L1 upon L2, therefore the accuracy of this method depends upon the accuracy or the precision of the lengths that have been calculated or evaluated. Now there is a process of standardization of the potentiometer. Now standardization is nothing but whatever we have done till now. That is the standardization process. The only difference here is that the battery B2 that we are using here, it is nothing but your standard Western cell. Now your standard Western cell is having a voltage of 1.0186 volts. Now whenever this length AC is of 101.86, it whatever voltage it is producing at this particular length, that voltage would be equal to that voltage across that voltage B2, uh, due to the presence of due to the length here 101.86 centimeter. When that voltage across this would be equal becomes equal to this, that means no deflection is shown. That process is called as the standardization of the potentiometer. Now I will go by the layman definition that is there. Standardization is the process of adjusting the working current supplied by the supply batteries B1 here, supply battery, such that the voltage drop across a portion of the sliding wire matches with the standard reference source, like I've already told you. The voltage across this portion of the sliding wire should match with the sliding cell standard EMF. Now, the next type of DC potentiometer that exists is the Crompton DC potentiometer. Now, this is the basic Crompton DC potentiometer. Now, if you can see, it is a much long and more practical kind of a DC potentiometer, which is having basically two parts. If you see R1, R2, then this portion of resistive coils and this portion of slide wire. So, there are two portions. One is having your resistive coil and one portion is having your slide wires. So, P2 and also it is having two sliding contacts P2 and P1, where P1 is connected to your sliding contact and P2 is connected to your resistive coils. Okay, I've already discussed all this. The procedure, everything is the same. This is going to move alongside this and this is going to move through this. Now if you can see the range of this resistive coils, now this kind of a DC potentiometer is used for larger value of resistances, suppose. So the sliding wire contact range here is 0 to 0.1 and the resistive coils are connected in series with the sliding wire is having a range of 0.1, that is greater than 0.1. Here 0.1 to 1.5 ohms. Okay, so suppose I have to calculate a resistance, I have to calculate a potential of length of one and any EMF corresponding to your 1.0186 volt, that is the voltage of your standard EMF, standard Western cell EMF, suppose. So what we are going to do, we are going to segregate the two, that is your 1 centimeter and your 0.0186 centimeter. Now when we have segregated the two, both can be measured or slided on different parameters. When we are sliding, a closed loop would be formed according to which your EMF would be given to your EMF would be generated. This is the last slide. So in the next slide, we are going to study about the next slide. Whenever next time in the next class, that is your tomorrow, we are going to study about the next topics, which is the construction and the operation of standardization of AC potentiometers. So we might start with the AC potentiometers, or we will also start with the, not or, but we will also start the measurement of resistance and voltmeter and ammeter calibrations. So that's it for today's lecture. That's it for today's lecture. Thank you.